Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, where imagination floats you softly into dreamland. Breathe, rest, and sleep.
You've arrived here to ease your body and mind, to gently release the weight of the day, and to venture into a realm of quiet wonder. Take a slow, luxurious breath and feel your muscles soften. As you exhale, notice the slight tension that's been holding you upright drift away on the warm currents of your own steady breathing. In this gentle space, you can let your eyelids grow heavy and your limbs become deliciously calm. Feel the cushion beneath you, whether it's a bed, a chair, or a cozy nook. Soften against your body, offering a sense of comforting support. Tonight, your journey will guide you along a mysterious rainforest path toward the fabled traces of El Dorado, where glowing leaves rustle under whispered breezes and ancient trees hum with tales half forgotten. For now, simply rest and allow your breath to carry you deeper into serenity. Let every inhalation fill you with soothing warmth, and every exhalation sweep away your concerns. Take your time. There is no rush here. This is your space, a tranquil pause in the day's bustle. And though your mind may wander, you can always return to this moment, gently inviting yourself to listen, to feel, and to relax. Breathe in once more, slowly. Imagine inhaling a cleansing mist that quiets your thoughts. Breathe out, sending any lingering restlessness away. Perhaps you hear the muffled hum of distant sounds, or perhaps you sense the hush of evening around you. Whatever you perceive, it can all fade as you settle into the calm space of your own breath. Now, as you grow more at ease, you are invited to let your thoughts unfurl into a soft, receptive state. Let yourself be carried into a deep forest, where the canopy overhead is like a midnight tapestry woven with stars. There's a gentle call from within those trees, guiding you forward, welcoming you to step into a dreamlike place that stirs with ancient secrets and quiet revelations. Breathe. Sink deeper. You are here to rest, to feel safe, and to explore in the most unhurried, comforting way. Picture your breath as a gentle tide, rolling in and out, each wave drawing you closer to a serene shore where calm awaits. And when you're ready, let the story begin. Long ago, in the midst of a sprawling rainforest, there lived a quiet explorer named Aria. She was neither famous nor known for daring feats, yet her spirit contained a longing that was hard to ignore. Since she was a child, she had heard faint whispers of hidden places that no map dared illustrate. She had listened to stories of El Dorado, stories told in hushed voices by elders, stories that carried a hint of golden mystery. Whenever she sat in the dappled light of her garden, she imagined a land bathed in perpetual warmth, with gently swaying foliage and soft streams trickling through hidden gullies. This vision had grown in her heart. not as a prize to be seized, but as a gentle beckoning of something unknown and wondrous. At first light one day, Arya stepped out into the dawn stillness, carrying with her only a simple satchel filled with a few provisions, a well-worn journal, and a silent hope. She had studied countless documents in local libraries, rummaging through old texts that recounted ephemeral glimpses of an uncharted route, a forbidden path nestled deep within the rainforest, leading to the rumored domain of El Dorado. The path had never been officially documented, existing only in fragments and folklore, but something within Arya resonated. Perhaps it was the rainforest itself, an ancient being brimming with subtle life that whispered, calling her to follow. Perhaps it was the lullaby of leaves and bird calls that begged her to discover what so few had ever witnessed. Arya left behind the modest wooden cottage she called home. She followed a narrow trail that wound around slopes of tall grass until it vanished beneath the heavy green canopy. In that canopy, golden morning rays cascaded down, dancing among fern fronds and painting each dewdrop with the brilliance of a tiny gem. The deeper she traveled, the more the forest embraced her in its hushed symphony. Mosses covered the trunks of ancient trees, and orchids peeked out in vibrant bursts of color. She was enveloped by a calm hush, broken only by the soft chirping of hidden insects, the flitter of wings, and the gentle crackle of leaves underfoot. As she ventured, the trees grew taller, their trunks twisting in quiet guardianship. The humidity of the rainforest cocooned her like a warm, moist blanket. From time to time, a family of monkeys chattered overhead, or a flash of color from a bird's plumage caught her eye. But nothing disturbed the stillness that seemed to cradle her thoughts. She paused often, letting her breath align with the gentle pace of the forest. Sometimes she would lightly place her hand on a trunk, feeling a resonance that connected her heartbeat to the steady pulse of the earth. The path drifted deeper, leading her over a small creek bridged by a fallen log, padded thick with moss that formed a natural cushion. Beyond the creek, she discovered a clearing dotted with wild flowers whose petals glowed in the daylight. In the distance, there was a gentle thunder of water, a soft, echoing lullaby that beckoned her forward. Step by step, she followed the distant sound until she came upon a slender waterfall. It fell from a ledge of rock that was etched with age-old symbols, swirling in patterns that resembled subtle waveforms or gently dancing flames. Arya took a moment to sit by this waterfall, letting its mist caress her cheeks. She cupped her hands in the cool water and brought a few drops to her forehead, silently thanking the rainforest for guiding her thus far. The symbols etched in the stone caught her attention. Though she could not read them in any literal sense, they seemed to evoke a feeling of welcome, as if centuries of visitors had once followed this same path and paused here in reverence. The hours passed, though the forest canopy made it hard to gauge time. Sunlight filtered through the leaves in shifting patterns, bathing the path in a dappled glow. As Arya resumed her gentle journey, The rainforest seemed to deepen. Broad leaves overhead let only a soft, diffuse radiance in, like starlight illuminating a hidden world. Birdsong accompanied her steps, resonating in layers of quiet conversation. Off in the distance, a rustling of leaves signaled small, curious creatures that peered out with bright eyes to watch her pass. But no fear touched her heart, for the forest exuded a kind of serene welcome, as if acknowledging her peaceful intentions. When dusk began to settle, turning the sky into a tapestry of deep purples and soft oranges, she found a comfortable place near the trunk of an immense, gnarled tree. Its bark was ridged in spirals, forming a natural seat. There she settled, preparing for the coming night. She built a small fire from dry twigs and leaves, its glow illuminating a circle of warmth in the forest. Shadows flickered across the nearest trees, forming shapes that seemed both mystical and reassuring. As the gentle crackling of the flames soothed her, she opened her journal and wrote a few words, not detailing her progress or accomplishments, but instead describing the peace that had begun to settle in her chest, as if each step forward reminded her that the ancient forest was truly alive, and in that aliveness she found comfort. Her sleep that night was filled with soft visions. She dreamed of golden vines woven through the treetops, drifting lights that sparkled in the leafy canopies, and a gentle voice somewhere in the distance urging her onward. She woke at first light, feeling renewed, as if the forest itself had shared its breath with her as she slept. After a simple breakfast of dried fruit, she doused the last embers of her fire, careful to leave no trace behind, and continued deeper along the path. The forest introduced her to new wonders every step of the way. Towering palms with fan-like fronds whispered overhead as the morning breeze rustled their leaves. A curtain of orchids, pale and violet, clung to the trunk of an old mahogany tree. Tiny streams snaked across the forest floor, their water shimmering with reflected shards of daylight. Every so often, the path disappeared, replaced by a cluster of roots or an outcropping of rocks that guided Aria in new directions. And yet, she never once felt lost. There was a sense that the rainforest was revealing its path to her, step by step, like an ever-patient guide. Around midday, she reached a hidden lagoon. Framed by mossy stones and draping vines, the water was so clear that she could see fish gliding through swaying aquatic plants beneath the surface. Soft shafts of sunlight broke through an opening in the canopy, making the water sparkle with a tranquil, greenish gold hue. Aria paused, entranced by the lagoon's silent invitation. She knelt by the bank and touched the water. Its coolness and clarity reminded her of the purity of a secret well. As she lingered there, a single large butterfly drifted across her view. Its wings were an iridescent azure, reflecting hints of turquoise and gold. It floated around her, drifting with unhurried grace as though it were studying her. After a moment, it flitted away, following a narrow path of lush ferns that curved beyond the lagoon. Taking this as a subtle sign, Arya rose to follow. Each step around the lagoon felt soft and spongy beneath her, the ground blanketed by a thick bed of fallen leaves that released a gentle, earthy perfume. Winding between tall ferns, she discovered that the terrain was shifting. The ground began to slope slightly downward, and the air grew cooler. Thick vines hung like curtains, gently swaying in a breeze that carried the scent of damp earth and distant blossoms. In a clearing ahead, she noticed an old, carved marker. At first, it appeared no more than a large rock, but as she drew closer, she could see faint engravings, spirals and lines that suggested a doorway or a portal. No words were carved, only patterns, yet they radiated a quiet energy. Curious, Arya placed her palm upon the carved stone and felt a subtle warmth. The forest around her seemed to hold its breath. In that moment, she heard a faint trickle of water, so light it might have been a whisper. Carefully stepping around the marker, she found a tiny brook meandering off to her left. It was no more than a few feet wide, its surface reflecting shards of sunlight that danced with the gentle current. The shimmering reflection seemed to beckon her onward. She followed this brook for a while, listening to the tinkling chorus it played against pebbles and stones. Towering buttress roots wove into the ground like graceful sculptures. Now and then, a small bird with bright red or yellow plumage would hop among the branches, tilting its head in quiet curiosity before fluttering away. Sunbeams filtered through the canopy in soft pillars, illuminating motes of dust and pollen that seemed suspended, as if time itself had slowed to a gentle pulse. By late afternoon, she came upon an unusual sight. A great tree whose trunk was so wide that entire families of small creatures seemed to make their home in its ridges and hollows. Glowing fungus sprouted along its base in subtle rings of pale light, and creeping vines formed a delicate tapestry over its bark. Something about the tree felt protective, almost as if it stood guard over a secret. Carefully, she circled it, searching for any further markers or passages that might confirm she was on the right course. As she rounded the tree, she felt a faint shift beneath her feet. A section of ground slid gently aside, and suddenly she found herself staring at what looked like a dim tunnel entrance. The space within was partially lit by luminous fungi, softly glowing in hues of blue and green along the walls. Air drifted out from the opening in a cool, almost sweet breeze. She exhaled, feeling a flutter of excitement, tempered by the forest's pervasive calm. With a quiet determination, she bent down to step inside, guided by the faint light of the fungi. Inside the tunnel, the atmosphere was hushed. Tiny droplets of water trickled along the walls, merging into narrow rivulets that shimmered in the glow. The air felt charged, as though each particle vibrated with stories from ages past. She placed her hand along the tunnel's curved walls. The surface was smooth stone, etched with shallow grooves that felt almost like a script. she paused to trace them, her fingertips registering their gentle contours. Minutes blurred into an unmeasured passage of time as Arya walked. The gentle luminescence lit her way, revealing delicate cracks in the ceiling where roots dangled like living curtains. The rhythmic drip of water soothed her, reminding her to keep her breath even and unhurried. Even in the tunnel, she felt safe, as though the earth herself were cradling her in a protective embrace. Gradually, a soft glow appeared at the far end, signaling an exit. Approaching, she found a wide cavern mouth that opened into another hidden section of the forest. A sense of awe washed over her as she stepped out onto a small ledge of rock. Before her spread a valley, its edges fortified by towering limestone cliffs wrapped in vines. The forest here was even more lush, if that was possible, with immense ferns and clusters of delicate bell-shaped flowers. In the center of this valley, partially shrouded by the swirling mist of a small waterfall, lay an old structure half consumed by nature. It was not grand in the sense of tall walls or golden spires. Instead, it was modest, almost as if it had grown out of the forest itself. Moss draped its ledges, and vines clung to columns that had been carefully chiseled by ancient hands. At once, Arya was reminded of the stories she'd heard, the whispered tales of El Dorado, a place rumored to be paved with gold. Yet here, she saw no obvious gleam of precious metal, no shining city of riches. Instead, she witnessed an ethereal stillness, as though the very air sparkled with unseen possibilities. Stepping carefully, she descended from the rocky ledge into the lush valley. Her footsteps were muffled by the thick undergrowth and the gentle rush of nearby water. As she approached the structure, she spotted faint glints, like the soft reflections of a hidden light. The walls were carved with swirling motifs of leaves and flowers, and scattered among the stones were small flecks of gold, not in bars or coins, but subtle veins running through the rock, weaving gently with quartz crystals and other minerals. They caught the sun's light in a diffused way, not glaring but glimmering as though shy. She felt a gentle breeze brush her cheek, carrying the faint scent of wild jasmine. The hush of the place was tangible, broken only by the soothing murmur of the waterfall that cascaded over ancient stones. Drawn closer, she could see a small courtyard behind the remains of a carved archway, where an old stone basin held clear, serene water. Golden flecks in its surface shimmered like captured sunlight. In this courtyard, vines coiled around broken pillars, forming a natural arbor where a variety of delicate orchids bloomed. Their petals were tinged with shades of pale pink, lavender, and soft gold, each one exuding a gentle fragrance. At the courtyard's center, half hidden by leaves, stood a statue. Time had eroded many of its details, but one could discern the figure of a robed person holding a bowl. Within the bowl, water collected, reflecting the sky and the drifting shapes of overhead foliage. Arya stepped forward, placing her palms along the edges of the statue's bowl, gazing into the water's surface. she found her reflection soft and indistinct, mingling with the silhouettes of leaves and golden flecks. It was as though the water were a portal, revealing both her image and the lush canopy above. She closed her eyes momentarily, breathing in the calm air. There was no sense of urgency, no sense of conquest. Instead, the place felt like a gentle invitation to be present, to honor whatever secrets might linger in the stones and the forest beyond. Following a curve of the courtyard, she discovered a low doorway that led inside an enclosed chamber. It was lit dimly by shafts of sunlight that snuck through cracks in the stonework. Here, the walls were adorned with murals, simple yet elegant depictions of people tending plants, gathering water, and honoring the sun. In the center of the chamber stood another basin, smaller and etched with swirling patterns. Its water emitted a faint luminescence, as though it held the memory of countless dawns and dusks. Kneeling beside this basin, Arya felt a soft warmth radiate upward. The chamber's quiet embraced her, allowing her to sense the forest's heartbeat through the stone floor beneath her. A gentle hush filled her ears. She sensed the place was not truly abandoned, but rather in a state of eternal vigilance. She could almost imagine the faint echoes of footsteps, the low murmur of ancient gatherings, the soft chanting of meditative voices, all carried forward in time by the stones. Nothing felt dangerous or forbidden here. Instead, it felt protected, as though the forest had woven its tapestry around it to ensure its secrets would remain guarded until hearts pure of intention arrived. That evening, as the sky beyond the valley turned to a dusky lavender, Arya made a small camp in one corner of the courtyard. She lit a gentle fire using fallen branches and dried leaves, and allowed herself to rest against the sturdy remains of a pillar draped in climbing vines. The flickering glow played across the stones, revealing faint flecks of gold that caught and reflected the flames in a gentle dance of light. She thought of how she had always imagined El Dorado as an overwhelming city of gold, an ostentatious prize. But here, the gold was a subtle thread woven into nature itself, as if the forest and the land had quietly created their own harmony of brilliance. Later, she lay down in her bedroll, lulled by the hush of the waterfall and the nighttime chorus of the rainforest creatures. The sky, visible through the broken ceiling, was a sea of stars that shimmered as if they, too, had come to watch over this tranquil realm. She felt no need to worry about tomorrow. Peace nestled in her heart, as if her journey had led her not just to a hidden place in the forest, but to a gentle discovery within herself. The next morning, gentle sunlight filtered through creeping vines, spilling golden warmth across her resting face. She rose slowly, feeling revitalized, as though the forest's own calm had seeped into her bones. Exploring the courtyard further, she noticed a small passage behind the statue she had seen the day before. It led to a narrow path ringed with soft moss. Faint footprints, weathered by time, and lightly scattered with leaf litter, hinted that others had once walked there long ago. She followed the path, moving quietly. The winding route took her to a secluded clearing. Central to this space was a low altar, overgrown with lush greenery. Several carved stones, placed in a circle around the altar, bore delicate petroglyphs of plants, animals, and swirling sun motifs. In the middle of the altar, a shallow dish held what looked like shimmering dust, perhaps crushed minerals that glowed faintly under the sun, or perhaps the remains of countless flower petals that had turned into a golden powder over generations. Arya lingered, letting her fingers graze the edge of the altar. She sensed that this clearing had once been a place of quiet gathering, where people and perhaps even spirits of the forest converged in gentle communion. She did not feel the need to search for any further treasure or reveal any hidden door. She felt a peaceful acceptance that this was enough. The real treasure was the profound harmony she felt between herself, the earth, and the hush of this secret refuge. Midday light made the leaves glow from within, as though each leaf contained a tiny lamp. The air was still, thick with the hum of insects and the distant call of birds. Feeling an unspoken gratitude, Arya bowed her head slightly to the altar. She gathered no souvenirs, for the memory and the experience were what she cherished. Slowly, she made her way back to the main courtyard. The waterfall's mist touched her face, a gentle reminder of the flow of time, the flow of life. She spent the rest of that day wandering around the hidden valley, discovering more nooks of exquisite beauty, a cluster of wildflowers in a sun-drenched patch, a line of carved stones that depicted meandering rivers and rising suns, a small colony of luminous insects that glowed like fireflies under the broad fronds of giant ferns. Everywhere she looked, she felt the intangible presence of ancient caretakers, as if the entire place had been revered as something far beyond a mere treasure trove. It was a sanctuary of peace, perhaps once visited by travelers who sought solace from a bustling world. As twilight approached, Arya felt a gentle nudge within her heart, as if the forest was telling her it was time to rest once more. She returned to her cozy camp near the vines. The hush that came over the valley was enchanting. Crickets began their evening serenade, while the waterfall's lullaby grew softer as the air cooled. Arya sat by her small fire, writing in her journal by its flickering light. She noted the subtle changes she felt within herself. A calmer spirit, a gentler perspective, and a sense of being wrapped in the rainforest's patient watchfulness. There was nothing to rush toward, nothing to conquer. Late that night, she drifted into a dream. In it, she saw the forest as a living tapestry of green and gold threads, woven by the steady hands of time and nurtured by the caring whisper of ancient guardians. She dreamed of the small footprints left behind by visitors from ages ago, the swirl of water that held memories of ceremonies, and the quiet statue that seemed to smile in the starlight. and in this dream she felt a tender contentment, as though all was as it should be. By morning, a gentle clarity settled over her. She understood that her journey was not to claim or reveal, but to honor and then return, carrying the memory in her heart. She gathered her simple belongings, ensuring she left no trace behind. The rainforest would continue on, its secrets guarded by swaying branches and the hush of vine-shrouded stones. All that it had chosen to share with her, its hush, its subtle gold, its quiet wisdom, she would carry as a luminous candle within, shining outward in her life to come. Taking one last, reverent glance at the courtyard and the small waterfall that forever sung its peaceful melody, Arya set her feet upon the path leading out. The forest guided her back, revealing gentle trails and hidden passes that felt somehow more familiar now, as though acknowledging her departure with the same kindness it had shown upon her arrival. Step after step, her heart remained calm. She walked with steady breath, letting the rhythm of the forest accompany her. Eventually, she retraced her way through the tunnel of softly glowing fungi, felt the warmth of the carved marker beneath her hand, and crossed the creek with careful footsteps. The final stretch of the journey seemed bathed in the quiet acceptance that she had found what she sought, not in the glimmer of gold, but in the peaceful transformation that now permeated her spirit. When she emerged at the edge of the rainforest once again, morning light greeting her with its gentle promise, she knew that, though the forbidden paths to El Dorado were said to be lost, she had discovered a far deeper serenity within the forest's embrace. She made her way home, carrying only the memory, so that others might feel the subtle glow of possibility in her words. The echo of the rainforest's hush would remain in her breath, quietly reminding her of the hidden wonders that lie just beyond the known path, if only one dares to seek them in gentleness and humility. Now, let yourself drift away as you recall the soft hush of the forest paths, the warm glow of hidden gold in quiet corners, and the gentle stream that sparkled in the dappled light. You can let go of all pressing thoughts, letting them settle like soft leaves on the forest floor. Imagine each breath carrying you deeper into the comforting darkness of sleep. Each exhale releasing any last bits of restlessness or tension. Picture the soothing trickle of water running through your mind, clearing away the day's clutter, leaving you with nothing but a calm, open space. In this quiet space, you are safe. You are at ease. There is no hurry, no goal to reach, only the gentle invitation to rest. See if you can feel the weight of your body sink deeper into the softness beneath you. Let your limbs grow heavy, your jaw relax, and your eyelids settle gently. Allow the lullaby of distant waterfalls to lull you, even if it exists only in memory or imagination. In the sanctuary of your own breath, You can wander freely among serene trees and softly gleaming pathways, letting the rainforest's calm cradle you. Let the slow rhythms of your breath guide you toward a place where dreams begin. You can drift as Arya once drifted, carried by a gentle current of warm air and ancient stories. Each breath is a tender reminder that you are alive, connected to the gentle pulse of the world around you. Notice the quiet hush that has grown in your chest, a hush that welcomes peace, that allows every muscle to settle into stillness. Listen closely. It's the sound of calm enveloping you, the echo of rainforest leaves brushing gently overhead. Feel it in your fingertips, in the soles of your feet, in the quiet center of your being. Let any lingering thoughts float like clouds, passing idly overhead, their shapes dissolving into the wide, star-filled night. You've traveled far enough for one day. Now it is time to rest, cradled in the gentle hold of nature's timeless lullaby. Feel the warmth of a hidden sun reaching across the distance of memory, bathing you in a peaceful glow. Allow the stories of ancient paths and hidden courtyards to recede, becoming a gentle murmur at the back of your mind as sleep beckons you forward with open arms. You have arrived at your own place of rest, dear traveler. Sink into that deep well of tranquility and let the hush of the rainforest sing you into slumber. Good night. Sleep well. Let the echoes of this gentle journey lead you softly into dreams. May you find comfort and renewal waiting on the other side. Close your eyes and know you are safe, warm, and at peace in this moment of deep, healing rest. Good night. Sleep well.